The Arkenstone. The Arkenstone, murmured Thorn in the dark, half dreaming with his chin upon his knees. It was like a globe with 1,000 facets. It shone like silver in the firelight, like water in the sun, like snow under the stars, like rain upon the moon. Greetings, my friends. I hope you all are having a fantastic day or night wherever you are in Middle-earth. Yoiston here with a video on the history and possible origin of the Arkenstone. Let's get right into it. After the awakening of Durin's Bane and Khazad-dûm in 1981 of the Third Age, the surviving Longbeards followed their king Thrain I to the Lonely Mountain in the east in order to establish a new kingdom. In 1999 of the Third Age, the Lonely Mountain became an established kingdom, under the reign of the King Under the Mountain. Sometime after the founding of the kingdom, dwarven miners found a gem that reflected a pale light. They shaped the work into a multifaceted jewel, and it was known as the Arkenstone, or the Heart of the Mountain, and it became a treasured heirloom of the kings of Durin's folk. This stone passed from king to king until 2770 of the Third Age, when the dragon Smaug attacked. During the Fire Dragon's invasion, the Arkenstone was lost in the treasure hoard, and the surviving dwarves were forced to flee and leave it behind. However, the king under the mountain's grandson, Thorn II, would never forget this stone. Eventually, the time came when Thorn's company would reclaim the mountain during the events of The Hobbit. After the dwarves came into the mountain, their first priority was to recover the Arkenstone. Unbeknown to Thorin, his hobbit burglar, Bilbo Baggins, found the Arkenstone by accident after Smaug had left the mountain, and seeing just how Thorin lusted over it, and how he began to betray his own virtue, Bilbo hid it within a bundle of items that he used for a pillow. After Smaug destroyed Lake Town, and the man Bard shot the dragon down with his black arrow, the refugees from Lake Town and their allies among Thranduil's elves came to Erebor in the hopes to barter with the dwarves for some of the mountain's treasure. After Thorin terribly denied them, Bilbo took the Arkenstone as his 1/14th share of Erebor's treasure, and through the use of his ring, the hobbit made his way to Bard and Thranduil's camp, where he delivered the Arkenstone to them. Using the stone as ransom, the men and elves demanded 1/12 of Erebor's treasure for its return to the dwarves. Soon after, the Battle of the Five Armies began, and the king under the mountain found both his honor and his death during the conflict. The contention between the dwarves, elves, and men ended after the battle, and Bard placed the Arkenstone upon Thorn's breast within his tomb, to lay there until the end of the Ages of Arda. Fair distribution of the treasure was had amongst these free peoples, and the Arkenstone laid with its king. Now that we know the history of this prized relic of the dwarves, we may begin to look at its origin. The most widely speculated theory concerning the Arkenstone is whether it is or isn't one of the Silmarils. Let's go through some of the evidence for both sides, and then I'll give my opinion on the matter. Some evidence that supports this theory is that the Arkenstone, like the Silmarils, emits light. Also, as this theory goes, the Arkenstone would have to be the Silmaril that Maethros cast into a fiery chasm with himself, as the three Silmarils went into the skies, waters, and earth. It is slightly possible that this Silmaril in the earth found its way to Erebor, as the world had changed much of its form since the end of the First Age when Maethros met his doom. And seeing that Erebor is a solitary mountain, it is possible that its origin was volcanic, just as the chasm was a fiery one. Those are really some of the only pieces of supporting evidence for this theory. Now, let's get into the opposing evidence. The Silmarils would burn the hands of mortals, except for Beren, as that Silmaril seems to have accepted him in his story, and those who had evil intent and held them. These are things that we don't see with the Arkenstone throughout its history. Obviously, we see many mortals touch the Arkenstone who are not burned, though the argument may be made that all those who held the Arkenstone also had good intent. But that shouldn't matter too much, as they are mortals. Next, the Arkenstone was said to be shaped by the dwarves of Erebor. However, it is said that a Silmaril cannot be cut, changed, or damaged, as it is made out of silima, a hard crystalline substance. Finally, as for an outside-of-canon explanation, in the book entitled The History of the Hobbit by John Rateliff, Rateliff discusses that while writing The Hobbit, Tolkien did not necessarily consider it to be a sequel to the Silmarillion. Eventually, Tolkien deemed it was so, but not during its making. Thus, the Arkenstone may be inspired by the thoughts about the Silmarils, but is not necessarily one of them. As for what I think, I believe it is a very interesting idea that the Arkenstone could be one of the Silmarils, but I highly doubt that it is or was intended to be one of them. Aside from all of the aforementioned reasons, I think that if the Arkenstone was one of the Silmarils, we would have known that it definitely was one. It likely would have been far more coveted and precious to all those who had seen it, and it probably would have glowed a silver-gold color like one of the Silmarils. Also, and I'm not completely sure about this one, Gandalf possibly would have recognized it as a Silmaril, as he is a Maya who was present in the Years of the Trees. Or at the very least, he would have had Galadriel confirm or deny it as one of her Uncle Feanor's Silmarils. But what do you all think about this theory? Is it possible that the Arkenstone is a Silmaril? Please, let me know in the comments below. I believe that the Arkenstone is simply a special and enigmatic stone that was within the heart of Erebor for many years. Like many of the artifacts in Arda, the Arkenstone is an item that its possessors may covet, but unlike a few relics, the Arkenstone may also be used for courageous and compassionate deeds, as Bilbo depicted. The Arkenstone teaches us that, in real life, importance doesn't lie in material objects, but in the thoughts, virtues, and beings that are beyond them. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed today's topic. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button and share this video with a friend. Let me know your thoughts about the Arkenstone down below, and don't forget to subscribe to join the Men of the West and all of the Free Peoples today. If you'd like to contact me more directly, please be sure to join us on Facebook and Twitter. I will see you all again next weekend with a video on our favorite half-elven lore master, Elrond. As always, thank you all for joining me on this adventure. Until the next one, my friends.